Hello everybody, Mobility Matters. Robert and the team offer a fantastic service with Snap Finance available for all your mobility needs. The team at Mobility Matters fix any issues you have with any of their products really fast to save any inconvenience, as they're a great team who truly believe mobility matters and understand. Contact the Rare and Kilmarnock stores and the numbers shown on the screen to get you mobile again. Real Life Media, proud to promote Mobility Matters.
Hello, Dazza, and welcome to Real Life Media.
How you doing, William?
How you doing?
I'm alright, thanks, aye.
Good, mate. Good. You've got quite an interesting story, so we'll just basically start. Where were you born and where did you grow up, mate?
So I was born in the Dale of Leaving, like Alexandria. It's a funny one that I grew up in Northern Ireland most of my adult life, but I moved about my younger life. But I moved about, my dad was in the army, so I moved all over the place, but we kind of settled in Northern Ireland when I was about 10, and stayed there till I was 20. But before
So,
that, I'd been doing in England and Germany and all over the place.
so you moved into Northern Ireland. Would you have been about 10? Am I right in saying that?
I was 10 when I moved to Northern Ireland.
10. So basically, as far back as you can remember, wherever your dad was stationed, obviously you had to be.
Aye.
What's your memories growing up, mate?
Um, Moving about a lot, only seeing kind of family here and there, school holidays and stuff like that. We would go to my nana's or stuff like that, or like aunties and cousins would come here. Um, like we do the whole family holiday things and all that, Although my dad was away, worked away and that quite a lot, even where we were stationed. We still done nice things as families and that. Do you know what I mean? But see the whole kind of moving about and like it always seemed to be I'd end up places where I was one of the few people with a Scottish accent. Do you know what I mean? Um,
Yeah,
and and found that difficult. You know what rains are like. You know what I mean? And it's kind of I would it'd be like kind of bullying to an extent. You know what I mean?
basically just because you're the new guy and you're it.
Aye, basically.
So, would you say you had a happy upbringing, never wanted for nothing? Uh,
Yeah.
how was your
Um,
school? How was you at school, education wise and things?
so see if I had a stuck in and no being tried to be a carry on merchant, the class clown and stuff like that. I was quite alright, you know what I mean? But the last thing on my mind was doing the work that I was meant to be in school, you know what I mean? I wanted to impress everybody and be everybody's pal and look at him, he's mental and just created a lot of trouble for myself at school, as well with the teachers. Sure,
Yeah.
gave me, gave me it tight because how I was, you know what I mean?
Well, the way you're moving about and if you don't feel comfortable in a place, you're going to act up to be one of the boys to fit in.
Aye, that's what it was now, trying to fit in.
So you get to 10. Obviously your dad's stationed in Ulster. You've got to go with him. What was life like there?
So obviously when going out there and stuff like that, like kinda at that time, it was just there was kinda quite still quite a strong army presence in Northern Ireland. it wasn't quite the troubles, but there was still things would kick off and stuff in the summer, so not being able like tell people and that what my dad does for a job, you know what I mean? Needing to kind of watching that, things I say and stuff, you know. Primary school, it was alright, kind of only really done like my last year of primary school there. Then obviously going into high school and stuff like that, you know. My first high school I went to was probably the ranked choice of high school, you know, it was like a grammar school. And it was all people whose family came for a lot of money, you know what I mean? And being Scottish, and although like my mum and dad were me skint and all that kind of thing, like we didn't have the luxuries that they had, you know what I mean? And found that very difficult as well. And I struggled a lot with the work, you know, that they were giving us today. It was probably a bit of a level above what I was. Because there you do like an 11 plus test thing in your last year of primary school, and it kind of determines what high school you're going to. And I got a no bad grade, and um, at the last minute somebody dropped out of going to that school that I went to, so I got the place where I was going to go to another school, and I went there, and it's probably a mistake, you know. I found it
So
hard.
going into that school, did you feel you rebelled a bit more?
Oh, I definitely. Um, I felt like some of the teachers made me feel like I was stupid. Do you know what I mean? Made me feel that instead of being like encouraging and trying to help me out a wee bit more, it was kind of like, and that might have had my behaviour might have impacted on that and all. Do you know what I mean? Why they made me feel that way?
Yeah, yeah, completely understand. So, at what age did you start, Kate? I take it you started off having a drink.
Well, I had see that's like alcohol's never really been my thing. You know what I mean? I did kind of dabble with drinks, but it was the hash kind of thing. I was 12-year-old, and see that as well. See when I first started smoking hash, um, I was a mad skateboarder back when I was that age, right? And I fell in with a group of people that were smoking hash, right? And it's probably like the first time that I felt like I belonged to something. Do you know what I mean? Because we had this thing in common. We were all smoking hash. We were all skateboarding, getting stoned. Um, and it's the first time I felt kind of a connection to other people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So, your whole life, everywhere you've went, you've been trying to fit in, and at this stage in your life, you've found a group where you fit in, you're all doing the same thing, and you were comfortable within that group.
Aye, aye.
So, how long did you stay in Ulster for?
Yeah, 10 years we were there. So kind of, well, my mum and that, they left. I think I was 18 when they left there. But that was so by that kind of time, you know, a lot of things have happened and stuff, and I wasn't really talking to my mum and dad. But I ended up leaving when I was 20, and it wasn't through choice that I left. I was politely asked to
Told to
leave.
leave.
Aye, basically, aye. Aye,
Told to leave. So, round about the age of skateboarding and things, it's just a wee bit of hash. What did that progress on to? What was your next?
So kind of through that, it went, you know, I left that school. Um, well, I was asked to leave that school again. They said we weren't going to expel you. we'll ask you to leave so you can get into another school, you know. So I done that and I went to another school that was just all boys and lasses through the scheme, you know what I mean? Um, and by this time I wasn't really skateboarding and stuff like that, you know. Um, and I was just kind of like, it took a wee while before the progression sort of started, you know. By the time I was like 15, I'm dabbling in Valium and stuff like that. I played a lot of football in my teenage years, but I was falling away for that because at the weekends I was getting on it. I went for the Valium to the Eckies, and by the time I'm sort of 15, I'm going out on a Friday. I'm on that, I think I'll be back later that night, and I'm not coming back to the Sunday or the Monday. Um, and I'm causing a lot of bother in the schemes that I'm in that are predominantly run by paramilitaries who at this time were against drugs. Do you know what I mean? Against all that antisocial behaviour, and I'm out causing it and getting into a lot of bother with them.
So, so, so yeah, I'm going to change my wording because on other podcasts I've said party drugs, and it's not really party drugs, it's gateway drugs.
Yeah,
Uh, at the time you're partying and everything, you think everything's cool, and you're not really caring about anything. You're not caring about the impact you're having on your parents or anybody around about you. Uh, so you're onto the ecstasy and things. When you hit the harder drugs, did you come back to Scotland?
no. So what had happened was like I ended up going into care, social work and police and stuff got involved in my life through things that I was doing. Um, and I ended up going into care at 15. Um, and through that, I ended up going through the care system into like the young offenders and stuff like that. And I ended up going down to live with my uncle when I was 16 because I'd caused a lot of bother. I was getting doings all the time, you know, I was causing problems in my mum and dad's house. My mum become really unwell, it was putting pressure on their marriage, pressure on my wee sister. She's going through high school by this stage. And my uncle, he he lived there in Brighton. He took me out to stay with him. And I went down there and things were alright, you know, I'm 16, got involved in a wee college course, I had a wee job and stuff like that. I'm earning money, but you know what addicts and addictions like, you know, I quickly fell in with a crowd of people that were doing the same sort of stuff that I was doing there in Northern Ireland. And the college got patched, the work got patched, and I started behaving the same way it is that I would at home, you know, him and his wife at the time and my two wee cousins. I'm going out on a Friday and we'll come back to a Sunday, um, and they pack me out. And that's like kind of my first experience of being homeless, you know, 16. I did get homeless accommodation down in Brighton because I was under 18, you know what I mean? They still had a duty of care for me, but uh, it wasn't a very nice place where I got put. And that was the first time that I ever tried crack. Was down there at 16. Um,
So
and
getting put into the homeless accommodation is where you get exposed to the harder drugs.
aye, aye, aye. And the people kind of around me all using the kind of drugs, so it just becomes normal. Do you know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
Thinking to myself, as long as I don't touch smack, it's all right. Do you know what I mean? That's what I had in my head at that time. Um, but like I was still only a wee guy, you know, and like I was a bit probably wet behind the ears, you know, people would be taking advantage of me and all that kind of stuff, like for money, all that kind of stuff. I'd do it to people as well, do you know what I mean? But I was getting myself into nicks where people were doing it to me. And I phoned my mum one night, broke down in tears on the phone, begging her to come back home. At this point, they're still staying in Northern Ireland. I was just turning 17, or I'd just turned 17, and I went back there, and back to their house. And like, I'd kind of been away for a while, right? About a year or something, so see kind of all the heat with the paramilitaries and stuff, that started dying down. But it wasn't long again, I got back there, got a job, started earning money, all the same stuff that I repeated for years. Started earning money, started going out at weekends, um, then I'd be staying out and all this, and my mum and that couldn't take it. And I got one night, a, a, a paramilitary organisation came to the door. About 20 of them. My dad was away working. It was only my mum, my dad, and my wee sister. They came to the door and they were looking for me. My mum got a fright, and I had to leave the city that we lived in. And I was put in a hostel, like, for my own safety, like away on the other side of the country. But kinda see when that kinda happened, uh, that's what tipped my mum over the edge. You know, my mum couldn't cope anymore. She tried everything, um, and it really impacted on her mental health. And um, she took an overdose, trying to take her own life because she just had enough. She didn't know what to do, and by the grace of God, one of the workers that I was involved with, a social worker or a probation officer, I can't remember who it was, came up to the house to check on me, and found my mum there, overdosed, and was able to phone an ambulance. So she kind of, for that minute on, like, the relationship with my dad and my sister was basically non-existent, because he nearly lost his wife, and my sister nearly lost her mum, due to my actions. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I was kind of on my own there, and it wasn't at this point, you know. I'm not taking heroin at that minute, right? But I'm taking everything else, anything and everything I could get my hands on. You know what I mean? Prescription medication, glue, anything. Just, you know, because at that point, smack wasn't really big in Northern Ireland. You know what I mean? I know, kind of knew it's getting a bit more a problem, but back then it
Yeah.
wasn't anything. Um, it wasn't long after that my mum and dad um, left Northern Ireland and came back to Scotland. My dad finished up in his army. He'd done his full 22 years service, um, and he decided to move back to Scotland, and settle back to Scotland. So I was left there, and that was through my own choice. You know, I wouldn't have been allowed to go back with my mum and dad anyway, but I wanted to stay there, and I ended up meeting a lassie anyway, when I was 18. When we moved down to England, her dad was down there, moved down there, trying to get a job and stuff like that. Moved in there, got a wee job. That relationship ended quickly. I think about 19-year-old. The job ended, I was staying in this shared accommodation with a boy, um, and his pal was punting smack, and I needed money, and he did a wee job running about for him for a wage a week, and that was kinda my first ever introduction to heroin. You know, I didn't get a habit then, but I tried it. Do you know what I mean? A wee dabble here and there, and the same thing again. caused carnage there. Couldn't keep a tenancy, couldn't keep a job, couldn't keep a relationship. Always on the phone to my mum to bail me out, um, and no really caring about the effects that it had on anybody else. You know what I mean? Just all about me.
Yeah. So when your mother took the overdose, how did that make you feel?
Um, well, that my mum was all I had at this point. She's the only one that wanted to know me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was pure gutted, you know, that and knowing that it was primarily down to myself. Probably, you know, using more and more and more just to block it out. Feeling like a scumbag, feeling like a Ryan, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you feel your whole life because you're fucking moving here, there, and everywhere, you you kind of developed a fuck it attitude?
Aye, basically, aye, kinda, and just and getting used to, see, because I've been used to moving about, it's like, see, if I ever caused a problem anywhere, I'd never stay about to try and fix it, I'd just bolt to the next place, to the next place, to the next place, do you know what I mean? Instead
Yeah.
of just trying to push through and fix things. Um, and then I was,
So when you go, mate, sorry.
so when I was 19, um, ended up moving back to Northern Ireland with this lassie, because that's what she would say. We, she didn't really settle down in England, so we moved back there. And we must have been back about a week or two, and that relationship ended. Um, and that was kind of it, you know. Um, for that kind of, and I was there myself, and it was just, I don't know if you ever remember, but MCAT had just came on the scene, and this is like the first, when I look back now, it's the first kind of substance that I can say like that I was actually like addicted to, where I'd be taking it every single day without fail. You know what I mean? We were getting it off
Is
the
that
internet.
that fucking bath salts, plant food?
Sorry, just somebody just, that's that plant food, So we were getting it off the internet, and kind of ended up flooding the tune that I was in with it, and very, very quickly the paramilitaries got on to me for that, and that's when I got told, like, no, you've had all your chances, you need to leave, and
Time,
at 20 years,
time to go.
yeah, no chances now, that's it, see you later, um, and at 20-year-old I moved back to Scotland, um,
So you come back to Scotland. Where in Scotland did you end up?
yeah, well, my mum and dad were doing, like, kind of, just by Stirling, a place called Alloa.
Right.
They stayed there at this point. Well, they still stay there now, actually, but they were there. But I couldn't go back to my mum, you know, all that stuff to before with my dad and my sister. That was still there with my mum, you know. As much as she would help me and stuff like that, she would felt that I wasn't getting back to the house. And I went into homeless accommodation. And it's like the first time that I seen people injecting heroin, um, lot of Valium use and stuff like that, and I was kind of just had nothing and stuff, and had a couple of dabbles and stuff with it then, but again didn't get a habit. You know what I mean? Was like um, probably thought I was too wide to get a habit with it. If I only do it here and there, I'll not get a habit. Do you know what I mean? But taking
Yeah.
every and stuff like that still. But then one of the boys that I'd met when I was down in England had messaged me and asked me did I want to go down and stay down there with him, and I ended up going down there and staying with him, and that's when I met my oldest wee boy's ma when I was down there, down in Wolverhampton. I think I was about 24 at this point. 20. No, sorry, tell a lie. Before that was after. I moved to Brighton actually when I was 20, back down to Brighton. And I went down there and I fell in with a crowd. And I was punting and whatnot down there. And I ended up getting a habit with crack. Fuck, grands and grands and grands worth of bills, like, and £10,000 worth of bills. With people, serious people and all, and the same thing, had to do a boat back up to Scotland, and I bolted back up to Scotland into the homeless accommodation. Then my pal from down in Wolverhampton had messaged me, wanting to come down here. I went down there, and that's when I met my youngest wee boy's ma. But still by this time, I've no got a physical habit, so see, no matter what I'm doing or the lengths I'm going to, I'm saying it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, because I've no, you know what I mean, I'm no waking up rattling.
Yeah, yeah. Even up until this point, you've had a fucking chaotic life.
Aye, but that's like, sitting here telling you it, and you sitting there like, or telling anybody else, they're like, fucking hell. But that's just, it's the norm, do you know what I mean? That is just normal to me when I was
Yeah,
in it. That was me, it's like, it's just what it was.
just didn't know anything else. That was
Aye, that's it, people. Like, aye.
so. When you've ended up here, this is when is this? Am I right in saying this is when the heroin habits started?
No, I'd only had wee dabbles and
No,
stuff. It was when I was down in Wolverhampton. So what had happened is I went down there, I met this lassie, um, and she, she had like my stepdaughter, my daughter prematurely, right? So she's no mine biologically, but I brought her up for a baby, do you know what I mean? And she didn't see her in that at this point. So I was there when they went to me to hospital. We've kind of got in a relationship. We've moved in, settled in. And you know what? I thought to myself, this is it, I'm fixed, this is all I've ever wanted. To have a family, I feel part of something, blah, blah, blah. But obviously the nature of addiction and the nature of the disease, that's no enough, is it? You know, and I started working and stuff. I'm working in this job. It's a night job in a parcel house, and everybody's taking painkillers and all that, and flying about the warehouse, everything. So I'm dabbling with them. I left that job and went to another job that was in a warehouse, and it was mad shifts and all. And one day they were all sniffing uh, lines, right? And it's like, do you want man? I was like, no man, I'm no fucking sniffing coke through my work. It's like, that'll cost me a fortune, pointless me coming to work if I'm going to sniff that. It's like, no, it's no coke. I was like, what is it? He said, subby. Right? I was like, I go for it. So I had a line of that, and that was it. You know, very quickly I found out that my ex-partner at the time was pregnant with my oldest wee boy. And by this time, I've got a habit on the subby. She doesn't know when, and I'm going to work. Everything seems alright to do outside, you know. And I had to quit that job. And way quitting that job, it was a while away from where I stayed. I couldn't get subby anymore, right? But I could get smacked. So my best thinking at that time was, I'll come after the subby by putting out, because I was smoking weed. I was smoking weed all through my addiction, you know, right the way through I was 12. So my best thinking at the time was, I'll just put a wee bit of this in a joint. It'll stop me from rattling, and I'll get asked myself by that way. How wrong was that? You know what I mean? Very,
Yeah.
very, very quickly developed a habit. It went to a wee tenner bag doing me a couple of days to smoking a bag on the foil in the morning, a bag at lunchtime, a bag at night. On the house. Then she started to click onto the smell. And I'd been going about people in that, and I'd seen people injecting. So I was like, I know how I'll start injecting. So probably within 2 months I started smoking this in a joint. I was injecting, you know, and
Holy
and see,
fuck.
and it was like, I know what, as long as so everything I've ever done, it's been as long as I don't do this, as long as I don't do that. Do you know what I mean? Always moving the goalpost, always moving the goalpost. Um,
Yeah.
my wee boy was born. He's in the house. I'm in a house trying to hide a habit, trying to, you know what I mean? I'm lying, I'm stealing, I'm fucking doing all sorts. And she found out, and you know, she packed me out, and I'm doing in England. I've got nobody. My mum and that don't know that I'm a heroin addict at this point. And I'm on my own, you know what I mean? And like that's when things started to go really bad, you know. I, I'm staying on the streets. I'm in and out of hospitals, packed out of hospitals. I'm losing all my clothes and stuff like that because I've got nowhere to keep them. So I'm cutting about in the same clothes for weeks on end. Uh, I'm shoplifting to feed habits. I'm getting jail sentences. I'm in and out of the jail, in and out of the jail. I'm getting hospitalised because I, obviously uh, you know my using, you know, sepsis, things wrong with
Yeah.
eyes, all that kind of stuff, and um, I got hospitalised, and they had to phone somebody as my next of kin, and I had nobody, you know, I had to give them my mom's number, and I hadn't spoke to my mom in maybe nearly a year, hadn't spoke to my dad and my sister for a few years in the hospital for my mom. Um, and I got kept in that hospital in Wolverhampton for a couple of weeks. And I was discharged to there. And I went back to the Range Mods house and made a plan to come back to Scotland. Um, and I came back up the road. I think maybe I was about 29 at this point. Um, and, and I came back up here, and that was like my first ever kind of introduction to recovery through like 12-step fellowship. You know, when I
Yeah.
came back up the road. But I would go to meetings and stuff like that. I'd get kind of 60 days clean, 30 days clean here and there. I would get wee things, I would get jobs, blah, blah, blah. And I'd think I'd cracked it. I'd stop doing meetings, I'd stop talking to people, and I'd think, oh, I could just do this, I could just have a wee drink, I could just have a wee joint. Um, and it would always end up back with me with a needle in my arm or in my groin.
Got it.
But through that introduction to the 12-step fellowship and stuff, um, I, I heard about a treatment centre down in Greenock that's self-referral, and I went in there, a place called Jericho House. I went in there, and you know, like, I had lost I had jobs in that earlier time. I'd lost them, lost tenancies, everything like that. Um, and I made a plan to get in there. My mum and dad took me back in. I done a rattle in their house, pure cold turkey in their house. My mum's watching her only boy, pure double there, being sick, hallucinating, sweat running at me, shite running at me, um, and no really knowing what to do. You know, I don't, I don't know what that feels like, but kind of knew it's like I can think about it and be like, I don't know I can't imagine how she felt. So I went in there, November 2019, and I spent a year in there. While I was in there, COVID came, but like, and you know, like everybody else kind of out here seemed to be struggling and stuff like that, right? But we were in this place, right, and we'd all built great. See, some of the boys that I went through that with, they're still my pals today, you know what I mean? And real pals, actual people that I can call my pals, that I can phone, and don't want entertainment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I left there in November 2020. I left there a year clean. First ever time I'd been that long clean, abstinent, no substances in my life. I left there and I was gave 3 suggestions when I left there to go to a supported accommodation. Don't get into a relationship, stay connected, and don't start working too soon. So what did I do? Got out of there, got into a relationship, started working and disconnected on and straight very, very soon. In that relationship, you know, I should have left that relationship before I did. The person that I was with, um, I met while I was using, and we were together, and then we got back together when I got out of rehab, and you know, like there was things that happened that like trust and stuff was broken, and it created a lot of insecurities, a lot of fear, a lot of jealousy. But it's the first ever time that I'd been in a relationship clean with nothing. You know what I mean? It's my first time ever experiencing love. It's the first time I've ever been able to love somebody, been able to feel love. Um, and I had this thing in my head that that's how life is meant to be. You know, you're meant to settle down with somebody, you're meant to stay with somebody, that's it. And probably accepted things that I shouldn't have accepted, through fear of being on my own, fear of, oh, what if she meets somebody else, all this stuff. And she was pregnant. Well, she got pregnant. Um, and then there was a wean. I didn't want all that stuff of having another wean and, and a broken family, all that. So we stayed together. The wean was born. I moved in with her. And all that stuff, you know, it's like there's a new wean in the relationship and stuff. The relationship becomes hard, you know, spending time together and all these insecurities and stuff. You know, I wasn't connected to my recovery or doing the stuff that I was meant to be doing. Um,
Yeah.
and I celebrated 2 year clean on the 4th of November 2021. My youngest wee boy was born on the 30th of November 2021. Then on Christmas Eve 2021, I relapsed. At just there 2 year clean, and see everything that I'd built up in my life, see all the good things that I had, all the material things, all the relationships that I built with family, they just went in an instant. You know what I mean?
Vanished.
I
Vanished.
was everything,
Yeah.
selling clothes, selling watches, um, family no talking to me again, no being there for my lane, you know, and I was back to that place, mentally and emotionally, spiritually, just broken. But I would say it was even worse because I knew that there was a different life, right? I had this different life, but I didn't keep up the maintenance of it, right? I didn't. I thought I was clever. I thought that I'd cracked it. I thought,
Yeah.
no, that's for all them. I'm different. I can do it this way. I'll be all right. Um, and very, very quickly I ended up back in a worse place than I've ever been before. Jumping about every hospital in Glasgow. Back to that 2 tracksuits in a bag. Um, injecting, shoplifting, um, Polish charges, and no really seeing a way out. You know, wanting to commit suicide, right? but no having the bottle to do it, just hoping that if I took enough drugs, if I took the right combination of drugs, I wouldn't wake up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can relate to that. I can completely relate. Just taking you back a wee bit, just for the viewer's sake and anybody listening, when you're talking about is Subutex, which is
Aye,
at that time was an alternative to methadone, and
aye,
if you took the tablet, it was slow release, but if you broke it down and crushed it and snorted it, it gave you the same high as heroin, really.
aye, aye. But in my
So just to explain that wee bit for anybody that doesn't know. So when you go into your relationship and you're clean, do you feel your whole life had substance abuse, and did that give you the mental health problems with the insecurities?
aye, I think so. All that, like, the paranoia, the jealousy, the no feeling good enough. You know what I mean? The feeling less than, um, and all the stuff that I'd done as well. That this person, because obviously when you're in a relationship, you open up to somebody, don't you? You talk to them, you tell them about your
Yeah,
past. You know what I mean? And it's like, if I'm thinking all these things about myself, right? What must somebody else be thinking about me? Do you know what I mean? If I'm thinking
right.
I'm a scumbag, if I'm thinking this, if I'm thinking that, all these things that I've done, right? If I'm feeling this about myself, then what must somebody else? So it creates more inside you, doesn't it?
So so all the years you've took stuff to block stuff out, and then all of a sudden you're not taking it in it, and you've got to deal with all these problems.
Yeah,
But rather than thinking I'm 2 years clean, that doesn't fucking matter. What I'm doing now matters. You're thinking I've fucking done all this. These people must think this about me, that about me. And was that a
aye,
driving factor to saying fuck it?
aye, that, and like disconnecting to the stuff I was doing for my recovery and stuff was a big factor as well. You know, I got to a point where I thought that I should, because I'd been that long clean, I shouldn't be feeling these feelings that I was. I shouldn't be thinking how I was, and no talking to anybody and sharing where I was at, thinking I can deal with it, thinking it'll go away, it'll go away, it'll go away. And it never did. And then that wee escape becomes appealing again. You know, that couple of minutes silence in the heat becomes
Yeah,
appealing again. And
yeah.
the heat just became that noisy. Um, I was like, fuck it, just the fuck it button in it. It'll be alright, I can just do it once, I'll get away with it once. It's alright.
And did this, so obviously you started back and you've ended up homeless again.
Aye. Um, back in hostels in Glasgow, jumping about, uh, doing anything for a tenner, do you know what I mean? Shoplifting, anything to get money, begging, sitting outside Central Station, begging. Um, and there was people, my friends, that were still clean, that were still in recovery, walking past me, coming up and talking to me, and just being full of that shame and that embarrassment and that guilt as well, feeling like, oh, I've let them down. What must they think of me? You know what I mean? And all they want is me to come back to meetings and stuff.
Yeah. And how, see like your normal average Joe walking by you and you're sitting there begging, how did they look at you?
Um, like, people would walk past and that, and you'd hear them laughing and that, looking and then laughing and stuff like that, and it's like, um, just feel pure less than, you know what I mean? It's even merrier a thing of like, I'm no part of what everybody else is, do you know what I mean? I don't belong
Yeah.
here.
And that's a point I want to make. Nobody wants to be in a position where they're fucking begging. They wake up in the morning, the first thing they've got to do is think about how they're going to get that first tenner for the day. Nobody wants to do that or be there. It's a fucking addiction. It's an illness. And see these average fucking Joes, how did they not go and buy a sausage roll and a cup of tea or something? No,
Yeah,
be sympathetic. It's nobody wants to be there. Nobody plans to be there. Sometimes it just fucking happens. And I
aye,
can't imagine how you felt. I can't honestly can't imagine how somebody would feel sitting there in the rain and freezing, needing a tenner, all because they need the drug that's going to take the sickness away. And I don't know, the depression, the shame of it. Nobody wants to be there in life. It just sometimes it happens, and I don't know. It's fucking people are too judgmental.
yeah. Don't get me wrong. There is people out there that done all that. You know what I mean? But that's the minority. The majority is get a job, this and that. It's like, right, you
Yeah,
find find me a job that's going to employ me, a drug addict who's staying in homeless accommodation, where you can't work anyway when you're in homeless accommodation, uh, because the cost is just too much. You probably wouldn't even have enough to cover the rent for in there. Um, and I've got a drug habit. How do you know what I mean? How do you expect me to do like?
the system's fucked up, innit?
Nah,
The system's fucked. I mean, if I see homeless people or people begging, and some of them are foreigners, or they maybe not even have drugs, I'll not give somebody money, but I'll go and buy them a couple of rolls of sausage and a coffee or something.
nah,
No, I can't walk by somebody and just no, I'll get them something to eat and a coffee. I'll not give them money, but I'll do something. And for people watching this, if you walk by somebody and they're in need, at least get them something fucking hot to eat and something to drink.
that's it,
No,
and it
you
goes.
don't need to. You don't need to give them money. Give them something.
See that as well. See just somebody stopping and having a conversation with you. Because see when I was like that, right, I feel isolated myself to anybody and everybody through fear. You know what I mean? The only people I'd speak to was a drug dealer or another addict who's got, where can I get to? Right, let's go. And half the time you're walking along the road and feel silent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Get yourself back to the hostel or back to wherever to use. And that's it. So see somebody just taking 5, 10 minutes and talking to you. That's that was great sometimes. You know what I mean? Because you don't feel that that less than. You don't. You know what I mean? Somebody's took time to ask you how you are and stuff like that.
you don't feel judged. You've,
No,
you've been treated as you've been treated as a human being,
aye,
which is the right thing to do, innit?
aye, definitely.
You know, if you can take 5 minutes out your day to speak to somebody, give them a wee bit of fuck, lift them up a wee bit, or buy them something to eat and something to drink, it's the right thing to do. We're all human.
Aye.
So, just to explain to the viewers and anybody listening, how does it feel to wake up every morning and know you need to go and somehow, and I'm not just talking a tenner's not going to do you the day, that's just going to get you started.
Yeah.
How does it feel to wake up and your first thought is, right, I need to go and somehow get a tenner, and you're sick.
So see for me, that would start the night before, right? Of no wanting to go to sleep because you know when you wake up you're going to be strung out, right? And you know you're going to need to do it all again. Because see, for a long time before I got clean, like the drugs, right, I would get a physical feeling after them, right, if I took enough. But see that, what I was taking drugs for, the client, my heat doing to block things out, all that stopped working, do you know what I mean? So I'd be using just to make myself no feel ill, do you know what I mean? And that would kick in the night before. And sometimes, see if I took coke, or I had a snowball, or I was smoking crack or something, see all the stuff that I was trying to escape from, that'd be amplified like a hamster in a wheel going round and round and round in my head. Do you know what I mean? So they
Yeah.
weren't working, they weren't doing what I wanted them to do. What apart from
So,
stop me.
so you're taking drugs and you're not even getting a buzz at this point. You're just taking them to stop feeling sick. And for people watching, how would you describe it? Sickness and diarrhea bug with the flu,
Or
maybe 10 times the flu.
your whole body's aching, your eyes are watering, you can't stop yawning, all your muscles, your joints are all sore, can't eat nothing, can't drink nothing, no energy, lethargic, um, aye, see even sometimes like waking up way money, or and and you're waiting on the dealer to come, or you've got to walk to school. See sometimes that, right? And see, because you don't want to be, well, for me, see, because I didn't want to be doing it at this point. Right, what am I doing? But I resigned myself to the fact that that was it. You know, I'd been clean before. I'd fucked it. I just thought to myself, that's it. I'll die an addict. You know what I mean? I had my chance. I blew it. It is what it is. Nobody wants to know me anyway. This is
How long did you live like this, Dazza? Once you get back to Scotland, how long did this go on for?
um, probably about a year and a half.
A year and a half. A
A
year and
year
a
and a
half.
half after being so, probably lived like that for about 6 years before I got clean. For before I got the 2 years clean, but then after my relapse, a year and a half, I was back living like that.
A year and a half. You're waking up. You've got the fucking flu times 10. You've got a sickness diarrhea bug. You've got no energy, but you need to get up and you need to somehow go and find money and
Right,
fast.
yeah. Um,
So fucking drugs are a horrible, horrible thing.
and then despite what people say, like people have a conscience, do you know what I mean? Like, see if you need to go out and do things, you need to go shoplifting, you need to do this or whatever. Like, you don't just get that and stop thinking about what you've just done, do you know what I mean? It's like, fuck's sake, man, I can't believe I've done that. So see that kind of stuff too. You're trying to use me to escape for fucking thinking you're a pure scumbag.
So you're taking stuff to block stuff out, but to get the money to get the stuff, you're creating more stuff you want to block out.
Yep, exactly that.
And it's just like a hamster wheel of fucking hell. It's never ending. Day after day after day.
Yep.
So you've lived like this for a year and a half. Uh, what was your first move to getting clean again? Or what inspired you to make that first move?
Um, so I'll tell you the truth, right? My plan, see, by this point, my plan was even to get clean again, right? I just resigned myself to the fact that that's how I was going to be, right? But I couldn't take waking up and needing to go and get a pen up or whatever, so I got involved with a CAT team, community addictions team, to get put on a methadone program, and my plan was just to get on a methadone program and use use drugs or don't use drugs when I've got paid benefits money and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because in my eyes, the whole recovery thing didn't work for me. I couldn't do it, I wasn't good enough, all that stuff that I told myself, and others had others kind of actions towards me led me to believe. Do you know what I mean? So I got involved with them, and the woman that I got involved as my worker, um, she was like in 12-step fellowship and stuff as well, you know. And I don't know, she just showed me a bit of love, right? A bit of care, a bit of belief, and kind of through that we got talking about going to another rehab and stuff like that. But by this point, my using was way too chaotic, you know. Um, I'm using a lot of street Valium, um, a lot of pre-gabbling, a lot of cocaine, more IV coke use than heroin, um, because the heroin wasn't doing for me what I wanted it today, you know, and that's why I was topping up with other stuff. Um, and she said I wouldn't get into rehab, you know, with the kind of what you know the way I'm using. So she got me into the crisis centre, Turning Point Crisis Centre in Glasgow. Um, and by the time I ended up there, you know, I couldn't walk. I've like one of my legs was like double the size of the other, burning hot, just no good through injecting that was. And I got in there, and I ended up going in there, and I took really no well in there. Um, and I ended up getting rushed to Queen Elizabeth Hospital. It turned out that I had sepsis that bad that like my organs and stuff were only functioning at 20%, but as well as the sepsis, I had 3 abscesses on an artery in my groin, so I had to have an operation, and it was lucky I didn't lose my leg through this. I had to have an operation to have the abscesses removed and the artery tied off, um, and
Fuck's
then
sake.
and I spent 4 weeks in that hospital. Um, 3 weeks of that, I was on an IV drip of antibiotics to cure the sepsis. Um, and in that time, you know, see all the people that I'd been using drugs with, and doing turns, and all my best pals, and all we're boys for life, and all this. Not one of them came near, not one of them phoned me, texted me, nothing. You know, the people that were caring for me, up, bringing me stuff, was all the people for recovery, all the people for fellowship who I hadn't seen for a long time. They were all there.
Yeah.
And my mom, you know, like it's the first time that I'd been hanged, and my oldest wee boy's mum as well. Obviously she was down in England, but she was a big support on the phone and stuff like that. People that I would never have thought, you know, people, because they were showing me tough love, that I was like, ah, fuck them, do you know what I mean? Poor me, look at them, they don't care about me, they don't love me, blah, 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 all this and that. But they were all the ones that were there for me. And kind of through that, being in hospital and stuff, you know, the funding came through for a rehab I was in Glasgow, Phoenix Futures. Um, and there was a wee bit of a waiting list, but I managed to get into a supported accommodation, an abstinence-based supported accommodation in Glasgow, and had a lot of support from people in the fellowship to help me just stick to my prescription meds. By this time, I'm in hospital too. Like I found out that I had hepatitis C as well through injecting. So I went through the treatment for that, and I'm clear of that now. You know, I went through the treatment of that while I was I finished the treatment while I was in rehab, but so every morning I was in this supported accommodation. I'd wake up, go to the chemist, get my methadone, get my Hep C treatment, and then people would be taking me around recovery communities like recovery cafes in Glasgow, meetings, and then back home, head down, sleep, up, do the same thing again, do the same thing again, um, until I got my date to get into rehab, um, and April last year, I, April 2023. I went into to Phoenix Futures, um, and I went in there. I think I went in there on 60 mil of meth, um, and I detoxed after that, 3 mil every 2 or 3 days, I think it was. And see that detox in that safe environment, it was very, very comfortable. Very.
Yeah,
I want to say easy, but it wasn't easy because you're left with all like the more and more you're coming down, the more you're getting your feelings and your emotions and stuff back. Do you know what I mean? Um,
yeah,
and you're in a place with 30 other addicts who are trying to get clean and all. Do you know what I mean? Guys and women, it can be a bit mental sometimes. Do you know what I mean? You're having to go to groups, you're having to go to key works, you're having to talk about deep stuff, dark stuff. You're you're trying to rebuild relationships with family and stuff outside. You've got all the stuff going on outside. It was still hard, but it was a lot better than the life that I had just been living for the past year and a half. Do you know what I mean? Um,
I'll I'll tell you a wee bit. You've shared a lot with me, so I'll share a wee bit with you. Uh, I get sentenced to prison. I'll not go into it because I've been into it in other videos. I get out in when did I get out? October 2011. Fit as a fiddle, running 5 mile every morning. Going to work, going to the gym after my work. And in December 2011, I slipped 2 discs in my back at work. Stupid fucking strongman competition, trying to pull a wooden post out the ground. So I went from being that fit to laid up, and I was on 8 gabapentin a day, 8 cocodamol, 8 tramadol, 8 morphine sulfate tablets, and I was smoking a few joints, but I wasn't abusing them. I was taking them as I was supposed to take them.
aye,
And then in February 2012, my best friend took his life. It's a bit of a fucking shock. I don't have a physio, managed to get back to my feet, get back to work, but I wasn't me. I wasn't in a good place. So I think it was the middle of 2014 or near the end 2014. My back was just fucked, and I was getting weaker at work, and I didn't know how I was getting weaker. So ended up had to get rid of the fucking house we'd bought. We ended up back in a council house. So going into 2015, I started taking 8 cocodamol, 8 tramadol, 8 morphine sulfate tablets, 8 gabapentin, all of them in the morning at once, smoking a few joints till I passed out, and and I had a great support network. No, a wife, mum and dad, family, everything, but I kind of kept it hidden. But I took all these fucking things, and I hoped I didn't fucking wake up. I didn't want to wake up.
aye,
Just took a hell of a fucking blow. It broke my heart. I wasn't. I had to lose my ego. I hadn't humbled myself, so I didn't want to speak about it. And then I was in and out the hospital. 2015 for 3 years, right up to 2018. I was in and out the hospital at least once a week. Fucking crushing pains here. So fucking every time you went in, they just gave you morphine. You were in for a day and out the next. Fucking next week, same again. But I'm still taking all these tablets and hoping I didn't wake up. And then me and my wife were going through IVF. So the first time failed. My wife got an infection, needed a big operation. And I felt guilty. I thought it was the stress of me in and out the hospital, her having to leave her work. And so, the same as you, fucking bright ideas that come to you. I thought, we're going through our second round of IVF. Rather than this hospital pish, I'll just get a wee bit of heroin, I'll keep it in the house, and if I wake up with any crushing pains, I'll take that. So, that wee bit of heroin in the space at 8 months turned into 7 gram every 3 days, as well as all the fucking prescription tablets. So roughly about the same time, early 2018, they found out I had heart failure and it was angina attacks I was having. So I didn't need all that morphine, I just needed a fucking spray under the tongue. And my wife, that the second IVF was successful. My wife was 6 months pregnant, but by this time I'd developed a big fucking habit. Not just for the heroin, my prescriptions, all my own prescriptions, plus other people who get tramadol would give you them and slow release morphine and give you them. So I had to get my act together. But before I started taking the heroin, I phoned addiction services and I asked how long before you put a form in do you see a drug worker? So they says could be anywhere 3 to 4 months. So it was a kind of planned heroin thing. But by
Aye.
the time it got to 8 months for me to put my form in, it was 7 gram every 3 days. So that's how much it fucking gets a grip of you, that horrible drug. So my wife was 6 months pregnant. I put my form in, went to my first meeting with my drug worker. So no mind me mentioning her name, Jackie Lang. And my mum was with me every single visit. Every time Jackie came to see me, my mum was a great support. And I think it was maybe June 2019. That was me clean. Everything, the prescription medications, everything. So that's a wee bit about myself. So I do know I can relate to you taking stuff and know why to wake up, being in a bad place, and you get yourself in a fucking rut. Your relationship suffers, your family
Yeah.
suffers. Uh, but luckily the two of us have come out the other side clean
Aye.
and more knowledgeable and more humble.
Aye. Definitely.
So,
Um,
so you got clean, and I kind of stumbled upon this by accident. I tried making other videos and things, and I came across this, and there's nobody shining a light on the drug problem in the west of Scotland, and that's what I want to do. Is just if one person watches this and it makes them go to their first meeting, and makes them phone for an application form and start the process, it's worth it. And
aye,
I
100%.
can't do much with I can't do much with a heart failure now. Some days I'm kind of get out of bed, other days I'm alright. No, it's kind of fucked up, but this is perfect for me because I can pre-plan things, make sure I rest the day before. Just I've been there, and it's a place I never ever thought I would have went, and I just want to try and help people, and hopefully it fucking works. If it helps one person, it's worth it. So you go clean, and you channeled your energy into making music. So tell us
Aye,
a wee
so
bit about that, Dad.
It's actually, so how this came about, right? While I was in that rehab, the Glasgow Barons and a Scottish rapper called Johnny Cypher started bringing a hip hop workshop into there on a Monday night. But I'd always listened to rap music, right? So even when I was using it and stuff, it just got me through sometimes and stuff. So I was already writing wee bits and bobs doing, right? So it was just a pure coincidence he came in and started this workshop. Um, and I recorded the first ever tune that I released called Disease of Addiction in that rehab. He brought his recording stuff in, recorded that. Um, and he said, "You're pretty good at this, you know." So I kept in touch with him, and then when I left, I spoke to him. I said, "Johnny, what's the chances of getting today a music video for this?" And he spoke to one of his pals, another guy, Cam Curry, Thomas the Search Engine, became good pals the day. And he filmed the video and edited stuff, and I put it up on YouTube, and the response I got from it was crazy, and kind of for that I've just built on it and made other tunes, and like even a lot of rappers that I listen to like is glorifying drugs and stuff like that, and that might be the life that they're living, right? But that's not the life that I've lived through drugs. You know what I mean? So I speak
Yeah,
about what my life was like using, how it was for me, what drugs done to me, what they took away from me, what they're doing to the people around me. Do you know what I mean? And see the response I've got for it from people. It's been incredible. I've I've probably I've became a recognised name in the Scottish rap scene. Um, I've got plenty of videos on my YouTube, Daz a JFP, if anybody wants to check them out. I've got other videos on
yeah,
other media channels. Um, I've done paid gigs. I've got a couple of shows coming up in Aberdeen in June where I'm supporting other artists. I've had ones in Glasgow, and it's something like I can get stuff out when I'm rapping, do you know what I mean, right? And that's helping me. But then see when other people are hearing it, it's helping them. I've had guys DMing me, lasses DMing me, asking how to get into rehab, how did I do this, how did I do that. And when I started this, like you just said, if I help one person, I feel like my job's done. Um, and every other
yeah.
day I've got people messaging me. Um, saying
It's
thank you, but I'm grateful for them listening.
it also it comes with a responsibility because I've got people who message they want to come on the podcast, but they're not ready yet, and some of them relapse and they message you they're not in a good place. And here, I would rather sit up to midnight listening to somebody than go on Facebook the next morning and find out the fucking funerals and such a date. So it does come with
Uh,
responsibility,
yeah,
but it's worth it. It's
aye,
worth it.
definitely.
So don't say if anybody wants to check them out. Say everybody go and fucking check them out. Tell them where to check them out.
Aye. That's a
Promote.
JFP on YouTube.
That's it. Promote the fuck out of stuff. Your songs are good. Really, really good.
Thank you.
Uh, you ever bumped into Sweet Rob?
Aye, I've done a few shows and stuff that she's been on. Aye, aye. I was through
She
at
was in.
Sketchy Beats in Edinburgh a couple of weeks ago. She was performing there. I done the Govan Music Festival as well. She was performing there too.
Yeah,
And she
nah,
does
she,
does a lot of things for Freed Up as well. It's another kind of thing that I'm involved in, doing rap music in a wee sort of hip hop workshop with through Freed Up on a Monday afternoon. And they put on a lot of like sober events in Glasgow and stuff like that, like sober raves. They do hip hop and
yeah,
they do dance ones as well, and it's all drug and alcohol free,
yeah. I've got a boy. He'll be on the podcast shortly. He had a 17-year cocaine and street Valium addiction, and He started up his own drug support group, Addicted to Life. Paul Barrett, look him up on Facebook. He's doing his a sober raving things, and I think all these things are fucking brilliant. See, people
Aye,
about a lot of people can bounce back to something and then say, right, that's me sorted. I'm going to go on with my life. See people who bounce back and say, right, that's me sorted. I'm now going to help other people. That's fucking brilliant.
aye, definitely. And I think it's,
No,
see when people, mm, like, 'cause see back in the day, like, I mind when kinda, like, back in the day, kinda, my mum always try and get me involved with, like organisations to help, right? And you were talking to people that I just read it on a textbook. See now, there's more people working in the field and more people doing things like you're doing, um, and stuff like that who have got lived experience, right? So when you're talking to somebody, you know what they felt, you know how it's been for them. Do you know what I mean? Um,
yeah,
and you're not coming to a different angle. You're coming to the angle of I've been there, I know what it's like. So see anybody that's been there, I think they get respected a lot more and listened to a lot more than somebody who's learnt it.
yeah. You telling your story, no, I've been there, but not to the extent you've been there. And I know that's you with 350, is it 340 days clean? You'll be in with,
No, I'll be about no. When is it? What's the date today?
oh, 370,
Aye, about
370, sorry.
370 days. Aye,
Aye. So this time you've bounced back with a purpose. You've found something inside yourself. It's, I'm fucking doing this and I'm going to. Every morning when you get up, you know you're going to go and fucking record a song or you're going to go and play a gig somewhere. That's
aye,
brilliant.
aye. Yeah, it's and I've got like I've built up relationships as well. So see my oldest wee boy, like I wasn't really in his life much, right? Obviously through using and see kind of just in the last 6 months alone. See the relationship I've got uh, with that wee guy, like he's 8 now, right? But he doesn't remember anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Like he's been up here to stay with me a couple of times for a couple of weeks. It's just been me and him. He's been in a couple of music videos with me, and he just looks up to me. He just like idolizes me. Do you know what I mean? He's like my wee best pal, constantly FaceTiming me, constantly on the phone. Um, it's just a beautiful relationship. You know, my youngest wee boy, things are only the same with him. I was seeing him when I got out of rehab, and I'm no now. Things are difficult with his mother. Um, I don't know. Will time sort that out? I don't know if I'm going to have to look at
Just
other avenues to sort that out. But um,
just keep
all
chipping away, mate.
I know is to see as long as I don't stop, as long as I stay clean, everything will be alright. I don't need to use because like I'm feeling a certain way or things aren't going good. Do you know what I mean? Um, just talking to people, you know, I've got a brilliant support network, a really, really good support network of other people in recovery. Even my pals in the whole music thing and that too, in the scene, like, um, a couple of boys have been really supportive, you know, and I only met them through that, and they know I'm in recovery. They're no in recovery. They do what they do, right? And that's alright for them. They're no addicts, do you know what I mean? But they're supportive of me, do you know what I mean? They're
Of course
encouraging
they
of
are,
me.
mate. That's the thing, mate. Nobody's going to judge you. Your past is your past. It's not a life sentence. You
Aye,
should be judged on what you're doing today, not what you done. I was a fucking bad person at a part of my life, but I've got to a stage in my life where I'm trying to make up. I'm trying to do good for the fucking bad. You can never make up for the bad you done, but you can maybe help other people be doing good.
Aye,
maybe even it sell up. I don't fucking know. It makes me feel better letting people like you tell their story, giving people advice, letting them know where meetings are, just doing what I can fucking do when the days I'm fit enough to do it. But what a difference your wee son is now your best wee mate and he's coming up
aye,
style with you. You're fucking recording music, you're making music, you're playing at festivals. What a fucking difference to where you were.
I know.
Oh, 100%. That's going to be applauded, mate, and a big fucking well done to yourself
Thank you.
because you done it.
Aye.
You
Well, we
done it.
help,
You had
helping
you
to,
had all these people run about you to help you, but you done it because you could have walked away from them at any time.
aye,
You chose to stay the course and put the fucking hard work in. So well done,
thank you.
big fucking well done. And I hope your son's up there and you make more music videos and you make more good fucking songs. You play more festivals and you encourage others to get where you are because you need to be content in life and you need to be happy.
That's it, innit? It's about getting to a place where you're grateful. Do you know what I mean? See, as long as you be grateful for what you've got, then that's it. Do you know what I mean?
That's it.
Um,
Material things are great, but they don't mean fuck all. You need to be content and happy in there,
yeah.
and
Aye,
then you're the richest man in the fucking world.
aye, that's it.
So once again, if you could give a shout out first to the organisations that helped you,
Aye, shout out to Glasgow Community Addictions team, Phoenix Futures, the fellowship that I do. I don't want to mention it because I don't, but there's plenty. There's Alcoholics Anonymous,
shut up.
Cocaine Anonymous, and Narcotics Anonymous, and it's all 12-step based. Um, and shout out
Yeah,
to all the troops and everybody, my family, everybody that supported me and helped me on this journey. Do you know what I mean? And thank you
yeah,
very much for
definitely.
having me on here and
Yeah,
giving me the time.
thank you, mate. Thank you because you're the person that's going to encourage the next person to decide to make that first move. So thank you.
Cheers.
So we'll end end the recording here, but I need to keep fucking talking to this thing uploads or downloads, whatever the fuck it does. It says 100%. I'm fucking terrible with technology, but I'm trying to fucking learn. So I'll stop recording. Before I stop recording, there's, there's a place in Ayrshire. It's called Harbour Ayrshire. Your shelter from the storm of addiction. It's an alcohol and drug helpline. Uh, Call now for immediate support from our highly trained, dedicated and lived experienced volunteers. The helpline's open Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. and the weekends, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. The phone number is 01292 623 So that covers the whole of Ayrshire. Anybody in Ayrshire want to make that first step, get in touch with Harbour Ayrshire. They'll point you in the right direction. If you're struggling, phone them. They'll do their best and they'll go above and beyond to help you.